What's up, guys, and welcome to Between the Sheets, where we take 12 years of marriage experience and give unsolicited advice to those who choose to enter our room.
So what do we have today?
Something wrong with you.
So we have this conversation that has been happening for about a week and a half now, maybe not even that long, from the time of the filming of this video. But it's that interesting article that has been released that is talking about study shows dating opportunities for men are decreasing as more healthy relationship standards arise. But to talk about it, I got a little video that kind of points out some things in this article that I found very, very interesting. Well, she's not going to point out things in the article that I find interesting, but let's just hear what she has to say.
So, I know we're, as women, pretty excited about this revelation, this study that has recently been done about the fact that single men are making up a majority of dating apps, and they're finding that they're lonely and things like that. And while it can seem pretty exciting to hear this news, and I wanted to wait to make this video until after it sort of the excitement itself died down, because I don't want to be a fear mongerer. But I don't know if you guys remember, not even a month ago, and I'm sure it's happened even recently, but we have seen what happens when lonely men get rejected. And I personally have seen maybe a couple of men who are feminists themselves and support women and obviously advocate for women make videos about this, and they have given their 2 cents and they've given their opinions, and it aligns with obviously the mentality of most intelligent people, which is that men just need to step up and listen to what women want instead of going around and enforcing themselves on women and feeling entitled to receiving a certain standard of care or a certain standard of treatment. However, I haven't really seen a lot of other men react to this, and a part of me is afraid, because we know that when some men who have low self-esteem and no guidance are rejected by women, they react in very unhealthy ways. And I would honestly be wary of this news for a lot of women. And yes, let's celebrate, but let's also start educating our young men and start teaching them how to treat women, how to treat others. And let's celebrate, but let's also look at this as maybe maybe we need to watch out, because I feel like this might upset a lot of men, and they will probably take this out on women, because we've seen what the incels will do on the internet and how they project a lot of their pain on other people. So just be mindful of that. Like I said, I don't want to be a fear monger or a Debbie Downer, because it is we already knew it was going to happen, but the men, I don't think, did. I think they thought we were going to roll over.
What you got?
I'm not sure why we're celebrating this. That part confuses me. I don't understand where the celebration comes from. I do agree with better educating our young men on how to treat women and all that comes with it. We've talked about that with our boys, what you should be expecting from a woman and what you should be in turn giving to a woman. So that is very, very extremely important. While we're celebrating that men have quote unquote fewer options, I don't know, because if men have fewer options, then that means women have just as fewer options. That doesn't make, I don't get the celebration part. I do find it interesting that she said in there something to the effect of men need to stop forcing their wants on women and just accept
That part.
accept that they need to give women what they want. Stop telling women what they want. But can't you say the reverse? Like, how can you just tell a man what he wants? Men and women are both individual people, and what a man wants does not necessarily reflect what a woman thinks he wants. And what a woman wants does not necessarily reflect what a man thinks he wants or thinks she wants. I think both parties need to just simply listen to each other. If you want to be together, you're going to have to give him what he wants, and you're going to have to give her what she wants. That's just the reality of it.
Should be common sense, but it's not.
I don't understand. And the celebration part, I'm really, truly lost on. And then she goes on, she basically is saying that we can expect an increase in
Violence, basically.
I didn't want to use the word violence.
Because that's what she's saying.
But I didn't want to use the word violence. Hostility.
Yeah, I'll take that as well.
From men. I've been on this earth 37 years, right?
Uh-oh. She about to share her own anecdotal experience, y'all.
Just saying, in my 37 years of life, I have never been physically attacked by a man, period. But definitely not because I rejected him. I have maybe a handful of times, probably not even a whole handful, maybe, 2 or 3 times, been called out my name because I rejected his advances, his, hey girl, come here type deal. But for the most part, for the vast majority of my life, I've declined respectfully, and I have respectfully been left alone.
Hold up. I'm going to jump in right quick. It's going to be a slight hot take on this. You just said that you've been called out your name a handful of times, but you have not been basically treated, in a hostile manner by men for the most part.
Right.
Slight hot take. I would dare to say that the majority of women have not been treated this way. Yes, you probably have been, called out of your name.
And that's not okay.
Right. That's not okay at all. But to be in severe danger, in order for that to be the case, we would have to assume that the majority of men out there are actually doing this to women.
And for perspective, before y'all get on here like you're not approached by black men, I went to an HBCU. I grew up in a city that's predominantly black. I have lived in a metropolitan city that is predominantly black. I have never been approached by anyone outside of my race. I'm trying to think in my head. I've never been approached that I can remember by any man other than a black man. And again, I have been called out of my name once or twice. But for the vast majority of the men that I have turned down,
pretty respectful.
Yeah. And I have respectfully turned them down because I don't need to be irate because you approached me.
Somebody has created...
Shoot your shot, sir.
Somebody has created a boogeyman and made the face of the boogeyman black men in general. So it seems like the majority of women on social media are walking around just scared of all black men. I know I have friends, really 2 friends in particular, that seem to be just, scared of black men because they think that they're going to be harmed. Now, I don't know if they've been harmed in their lifetime by black men or if they're getting stories from other women who have been harmed. Does it happen? Yeah, for sure.
We're not going to sit here and act like it doesn't,
definitely
because
happens.
it does.
Definitely
they
happens.
exist. I don't think that it's the vast majority.
I don't
though.
either.
But what I hear, as far as
but you know what
he
it
was
is? I'm
aggressive.
Sorry. I'm gonna cut you off. I'm gonna let you get back into it. Remember that aggressive. I think what's happening is it's what I call the bad review syndrome, where you can go on a site and look at the reviews for a product or a service, and you can be scrolling, and the majority of the views 5 stars, 5 stars, but you get to a 1-star review, and it's something that seems very bad. You're like, oh, nah, I'm gonna go with this 1-star review right here.
Skipped over the 20 other 4 and 5-star reviews.
And that's what happens. But anyway, back to what you're saying. Sorry.
What I was going to say is what I see a lot of is women saying he got hostile, he got aggressive. And what they're saying is he approached you, right? You said, no, I have a boyfriend, I'm not interested. And he continued, oh, well, you can't have friends?
Harassment.
I just want to be your friend. And then it gets labeled as harassment or hostile or he's stalking me.
Should you do that?
No.
Absolutely not. We're not saying that that's okay for him to do. But violent and hostile, okay.
Closed mouths don't get fed. And let's just be honest. It's some women out there who don't care that they have a boyfriend. And if you go on to say, well, I don't care about your boyfriend, then the door is open.
Right. And some women like to be chased.
Again, is it right?
No.
No. But if he is respectfully saying, hey, you can't have a friend, how is that him being hostile or aggressive? He is just continuing the conversation.
Well, if he's saying that he's not really being respectful to the boyfriend.
I mean, maybe not to the
husband,
boyfriend or okay, I get it.
Let's just say nice, not hostile, the opposite of hostile.
Right.
But I don't want to spend too much time on this because I can feel people in the comments talking about how you gonna talk about the article, but then never talk about the article.
Okay, let's talk about the article.
So let's just go ahead and make a quick turn towards the article. All right. So what's really sticking out about this thing to me? The first thing that's sticking out is the fact that this is not a study.
It's not.
This is a review piece. This is not a study. This dude didn't really collect any real data.
There's no statistics in there. There's no real analysis.
There is a stat, which a percentage of how many men are actually on these dating sites. But that's the first thing that is kind of pissing me off about this. But it's a single view, because this is really only
there's no control.
Right. This is really only looking at. So the title of the article, The Rise of Lonely Single Men, Dating Apps and a Drastically Changing Relationship Landscape. This dude went and looked at a date. Well, I don't know which dating app he looked at, but he's basically just referring to the men on dating apps. And he says that he runs a TikTok show where he talks to a bunch of different people and he sees the same thing. But for the most part, he's really referring to the dating app scene. And I guess you could say, well, that's where a lot of people are dating. They're meeting people on these apps, on Instagram and social media. Sure. But that's not actually a reflection of the real world. And you're saying that, okay, 62% of the people on these apps are men. That really doesn't have a lot to do with whether or not men are more lonely than they were in the past. Because you're looking at the type of men that are on here, right? What is really tripping me out is the fact that you're celebrating this as if it's some type of a flex. This is not a flex. If the men are lonely, like you said, then y'all are lonely. Oh, but we lonely and we loving it. We living our best life.
You living it until you at home by yourself and don't nobody want to come hang out.
Let's stop the cap. Come on now. Come on now. At some point, while you may say that you're not lonely and you like being by yourself and all this stuff, the vast majority of people don't want to live the rest of their life being alone. They don't. You can be alone if you want to, but so many things in life are easier when you have a partner or a loving partner or somebody that you're able to actually agree with and be comforted by in those times when you actually need somebody with you, help you out around the house. You don't have to pay all your bills by yourself. It's just so nice to have that person to watch TV with, start a new show with, build, businesses with, just build a life with in general. Create a family, because we know families, they build communities. And if you don't have families at the base of the community, you don't have a community. You just got a bunch of single people running around. And this study has shown me a lot. It's shown me that people just really, they just not happy. They say that they happy, but we too busy pointing the finger at one another. You got men saying, buy a dog, die alone. Then you have women saying, see, now looking at this study, now y'all are alone. Y'all aren't gonna have any wives. Y'all gonna die alone in a nursing home. Y'all give the bare minimum. Y'all need to go to therapy. Just all these different things, and it's just like, when do we get to a solution on this scenario? This particular study.
We're gonna stop calling it a study.
Yeah, right.
This particular review.
This review is kind of garbage, because we're looking at these apps and we're saying that, okay, 62% of men, 62% of the participants on these apps are men. All right, cool. And they're not getting picked by the women. But we understand that women in general, especially on these apps, think that the majority of the men are unattractive. So this doesn't really have anything to do with whether or not the man has emotional intelligence, like y'all like to point out, and all these other things. Because
personality characteristics are not taken into account.
Right. You can't tell because you're not swiping right on these people. And I can't remember, it's a very, very low percentage of right swipes on these apps. In regards to men. So men are swiping right the majority of the time on the women, but the women are not swiping right on the men. They're swiping right on a very small percentage of men. That'd be the men that have the height, or at the cream of the crop in looks, or present well. I don't know how these dating apps works. But if they list their field of study or whatever their career is, however much money they make, I'm not sure if they list all that stuff or not, but I know that the majority of these men are not getting swiped right on. So how are we gauging whether or not men are becoming more and more lonely based off the dating apps? Now, I've never watched this guy's show, but if he's saying that, hey, I'm seeing that the majority of men are not presenting with what the women want, so they're becoming increasingly more and more single, and they need to step it up and step up to the plate. My question is, why is it just the men that need to step up to the plate, and because they're not giving what the women want? Every day I hear men saying what they want for women, and the response to that is always, we not giving you that. We not your mama. We not, your therapist. We not your sex worker. We not all these things. So at what point do we realize that this is a give and take scenario? You give me what I want, and I give you what you want. And it's not I'm gonna wait till you give me what I want, and then I'll see about giving you what you want. And that's not gonna work on both sides. How about we meet in the middle and we just barter?
Fair exchange.
How about we barter? Y'all women hear exactly what men want and choose to ignore it.
They always say that's not what you want. You don't know what you want.
But you want the men not to ignore what you want. That's foolishness. We got to work together some type of way. I'm going to stop monopolizing this video. I'm going to let you speak, though.
You're fine.
Go ahead.
I'm not, listen, I was agreeing with everything that you were saying. Again, it's not a study. It's a review.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said before, if we have this plethora of lonely men, that means they don't have a mate, which means their would-be mates are also out there lonely.
But women outnumber men.
Women do outnumber men.
Which makes it worse.
Exactly. So if you had 100 men, right, to, let's say, 70 women, but 65 men are lonely on these dating apps, that means now you only have 35 men for these 70 women. You're not, or however, whatever the numbers are. I just messed the numbers up. Don't mind me. But you have less of a pool to choose from. So celebrating it does you no good because you still lonely. And you could say all day long, I'm living my best life. I'm not worried about a man. There are very few of us out there who truly, genuinely do not want a man. We exist, okay? There are absolutely women out there who are totally fine never being married, never having a serious relationship.
What you mean we exist?
I mean, not we, because I'm very happily married, okay? I was meant to be somebody's wife. We already know this.
Anyway.
But there are women out there who just enjoy being single. That's not the vast majority of y'all. Stop lying, okay?
Right.
It's all fine when you out here brunching with your girls and shopping and vacationing.
I can do bad all by myself.
It's all fine until you get home and there's nobody. Because your homegirl going off with her boyfriend, your other homegirl going off with her husband, the other one out here working her career, and you're by yourself now. Ain't nobody in the house with you. And when you're in your 20s, even in your 30s a little bit, it's okay. And then you start to hit 40, 50, and you looking around and you just alone, then what?
That's a burden, man. You don't have anybody to come over to your house and do things for you.
Or just with you, the companionship.
Yeah. I keep bringing up services, which is a big plus of having that man around there.
It is. It really is.
But yeah, that companion.
Well,
my grandma told me that my granddaddy would just sit around the house and there was no companionship there. He just did what he needed to do. He just cut the grass and fixed stuff at the house, but it was no companionship. Y'all too busy and listen to your grandmas. First and foremost, that's not everybody's grandma. My grandma situation wasn't like that. Neither was her sister's situation like that. And she had a plethora of siblings. And it wasn't everybody's grandma.
Not for me. One grandma, my granddaddy died before I was even born, so she did live her life alone. But she had 10 children, so she wasn't really alone. She had a lot to do. And my other grandmother, she did live her life alone. Mm-hmm. She did not have a mate. She had one child, and she would be the first to tell you, baby, go find you a good man. A good one, not a bad one, not. Find you a good man. Because you don't want to be 60, 70 years old still relying on your son to come and take care of you. Being in this big, and she was a very social person.
And the son shouldn't have to.
No.
He should be building his own life.
She was a very social person. In her younger days, she was able to get out and enjoy her friends. But as she got older, her friends are off, married, or they've passed away, and she's still here. Her son is grown. She only had one. He's grown and living his life. The grandchildren scattered all over the country. So she's alone, and I love that woman, but she lived a large amount of her elderly life alone, unfortunately. You call her on the phone, I call you all day long, but it's nothing like having a physical person there to be around and with you.
And we're supposed to be paired up.
We are. Listen, when we finish doing this, you know what we're going to do? I'm crawling this big old bed and turn on Netflix and watch Netflix for the rest of the night. We boring people, but we are compatibly boring, okay? Mm-hmm. We this is what we enjoy, right? I got some friends, they love going out and partying, and they go out as a couple. And they go out and they go to lounges and they drink and they have fun and they come back and they chill and they go to sleep. Find somebody that enjoys doing some of the things that you like to do so y'all can do them together. That's all we're saying. Stop with all these. I'm happy that the men are over here lonely. Because you might not be lonely now, but give it 10, 15 years. You will be. It's coming.
I don't have anything else to say about that except for this was not a study. And trust me,
that, y'all.
I know exactly what a
does.
study is. I've conducted a lot of them. So,
Not a study at all. It's a review.
a review. And a single strand kind of bad review at that. And y'all just took it and ran with it. But most of y'all didn't even read this thing. I guarantee you.
They read the headline.
And if you did read it, did you understand it? Did you actually look at what was being presented to you? This is not a think piece. This is not a study. This is a review. And a trash one. Peace.
Good night.